Among the countless songs written by Paul McCartney during his time with the Beatles, one stood out so strongly that even John Lennon, never shy about critiquing Paul's work, openly admitted he wished he had written it himself. Coming from Lennon, who could be both McCartney's greatest collaborator and his toughest critic, this was no small compliment. The track captured a balance of melody, emotion, and craftsmanship that Lennon rarely credited to anyone else, even his own bandmate. That song was Here, There, and Everywhere, a gentle ballad from the 1966 album Revolver.
To lead a better life.
Paul crafted it as a tender declaration of love, inspired in part by the style of the Beach Boys' Brian Wilson. Its combination of intricate harmonies and heartfelt lyrics left a deep impression, not only on fans and critics, but also on Lennon himself, who once called it a damn fine piece of work. By the summer of 1966, the Beatles were in a period of rapid evolution. They had moved far beyond the upbeat pop songs of their early years. The album Revolver marked a turning point, blending experimental studio techniques with deeply personal songwriting. Lennon leaned towards psychedelic and surreal imagery, while McCartney was diving into more sophisticated harmonic structures and emotional expression. It was in this fertile creative environment that Paul brought Here, There, and Everywhere to life. Inspired after hearing the Beach Boys' groundbreaking album Pet Sounds, McCartney set out to write something that matched the warmth, beauty, and complexity of Brian Wilson's arrangements. The result was one of the most tender songs in the Beatles' catalog. Paul later recalled that he was lounging by John Lennon's pool in Weybridge when the melody began to form. With an acoustic guitar in hand, he worked out the structure and chords, aiming to create something delicate yet powerful. Unlike some of his earlier love songs, this one avoided teenage sentimentality. It was more mature, a reflection on deep companionship rather than fleeting romance. The song's structure was ambitious. Rather than sticking to a conventional verse-chorus form, McCartney built it around shifting sections, each one seamlessly flowing into the next. This approach gave the track an almost classical quality, while still staying rooted in pop. Here, There, and Everywhere was recorded at Abbey Road Studios in June 1966. The arrangement was kept minimal, with acoustic guitar as the foundation. Paul sang the lead vocal with his characteristic clarity, while Lennon and George Harrison provided rich backing harmonies. These harmonies, layered carefully in the studio, were one of the song's defining features. George Martin's production emphasized the intimacy of the performance. Unlike Lennon's heavily processed tracks from the same album, Paul's ballad was left relatively unadorned. The simplicity allowed the melody and harmonies to shine, making the song feel timeless even upon release. John Lennon's praise for Here, There, and Everywhere has been widely cited by Beatles historians. For a songwriter as competitive and outspoken as Lennon, admitting envy toward a McCartney composition was rare. But with this track, he couldn't deny its brilliance. He once described it as one of Paul's best, even confessing that he wished he had written it himself. This acknowledgement was striking, because Lennon often criticized McCartney's softer ballads, dismissing some as granny music. But in this case, the song's craftsmanship was undeniable. Its subtle chord changes, flowing melody, and heartfelt lyrics elevated it far above mere sentimentality. What makes Here, There, and Everywhere so remarkable is its balance of simplicity and sophistication. The lyrics are straightforward, expressing love and gratitude without embellishment, yet musically, The song is complex, weaving through key changes that create a sense of movement and emotional depth. The opening line, beginning mid-phrase, immediately draws the listener in. Each section builds naturally on the last, with the title phrase anchoring the song, while the music drifts gently from one idea to the next. It's a masterclass in how to write a ballad that feels effortless while being meticulously constructed.
The influence of the Beach Boys cannot be overstated. Paul himself has admitted that Here, There, and Everywhere was directly inspired by Brian Wilson's compositions on Pet Sounds. In particular, songs like God Only Knows showed him the power of lush harmonies and unexpected chord progressions in pop music. Rather than copying the Beach Boys' style outright, McCartney internalized their approach and created something uniquely Beatles. The result was a track that stood shoulder to shoulder with Wilson's best work, earning admiration from both fans and fellow musicians. When Revolver was released in 1966, critics were overwhelmed by the album's innovation. Songs like Tomorrow Never Knows and Eleanor Rigby dominated the conversation. Yet Here, There, and Everywhere quietly earned recognition as one of the album's most beautiful moments. While it was never released as a single, the song became a favorite among those who listened closely. Its emotional resonance set it apart from the psychedelic experimentation surrounding it, offering a moment of intimacy amid the chaos. Over the decades, Here, There, and Everywhere has become one of Paul McCartney's most beloved songs. Musicians across genres have covered it, from Emmylou Harris to Elvis Costello. Its gentle melody and universal theme of love have ensured its place as a standard. For McCartney, the song represents one of his proudest achievements. He has often cited it as a personal favorite among his Beatles compositions. For Lennon to echo that sentiment speaks volumes about the track's impact. The fact that Lennon admitted admiration for Here, There, and Everywhere also highlights the complex relationship between the two songwriters. Their partnership thrived on competition. Each was constantly pushing the other to write better songs, driven by a mix of camaraderie and rivalry. In this case, Paul's success with a ballad drew Lennon's respect. It showed that even within their different artistic sensibilities, each could recognize when the other had created something extraordinary. George Martin himself praised the track, highlighting its elegance and emotional resonance. For Martin, it was another example of how Paul's instincts as a songwriter could elevate even the simplest ideas into something extraordinary.